talking to him. I was like, John, I was like, do you know what you're like? I was like, this is you. You keep saying my kid prevented me from doing X, Y, and Z. John, you suck at everything.
Ooh.
When we used to play basketball, you sucked at basketball. You weren't going to the NBA, okay? You keep talking about your kid as if they're preventing you from living this amazing life, dude. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Genius Brain Podcast. I am your host, David So, and we have Ed Park, VP, in the house.
What's up?
And now I'm a new version of myself. I am a father. I am now David So, the dad, dude.
Yeah, you mentioned this months and months ago, but it was like a little blip.
Yeah.
And I think it flew over a lot of people's heads. There's a few comments.
Yeah, I forgot. This is the biggest reason why we decided to.
Yeah.
Because the kid is such a huge part of your life. There's absolutely no way I would be able to hold this in until he's 18. You know, like it's just not happening.
Yeah.
And so I started feeling bad too, because, you know, when we're out and people are just recording their regular life and then there's like a glimpse of Mariel's belly. I was like, hey, can you not? It's like, dude, I'm becoming the annoying one now.
Right.
And I just hated it because I don't want to dictate how other people live their lives to have my friends accommodate everything they do for me. I think that's bullshit. So after a while, now that the kid is born, Mariel and I got to have basically like a year of us just enjoying her pregnancy and doing what we're doing. It was great. So yeah. I liked it. And then the kid was born. And then, like, you know, a little bit later, I was like, here, I have a son. I'm still not going to show his face. We'll
reveal his name.
His
birthday,
none of that type of
his
stuff.
Time. His sign, his zodiac.
Yeah.
No.
I don't care about any of that type of stuff. I have no inkling or wish to share any of my kids' life.
What about his ascending moon? You're not gonna share that? Who gives a fuck?
Who gives a shit? Like, so here's the thing. Like, for everybody who had a kid out there, I'm gonna just say this off top, right? If you're a father and you weren't there for your wife's pregnancy where she was giving birth and you chose not to be there, you have missed out one of the biggest moments of your life. Like, you will never ever gain a specific type of perspective for your wife and your child if you were not in that delivery room. It's so bad your dad wasn't there, was he?
For all three. Oh shit. Like,
as I'm talking,
for
I just see a tear come down your face.
I'm literally crying.
Yeah, that's so funny.
Oh shit.
Hey, yo, shout out. Hey, yo, rest in peace, Mr. Park. But yo, you shitty ass dad, huh?
Yeah, dude.
Your mom was like, I'm going into labor. He goes, let me know how it goes.
Yeah. So, seriously, there's like,
oh, 그래?
yeah.
알았어, bye.
The first time my dad was in prison. The second time he was just at some 당구장. He was just fucking around in K-Town.
So wait, hold on. First, your brother he was in prison. Okay. For you, your mom's giving birth. He goes, I'm having the best game of my life.
No, dude, when I go see my like dad's friends like up in North Hollywood, and so it's like I would say uncle, but they're not like blood related. Mm-hmm. He has a billiard table, right? Mm-hmm. Every time I come around there, I was like, dude, your dad, he was so good. He was a man at this. I was like, oh, so that's why he wasn't at my birth. You know?
You would have been so funny if you asked your like uncles and stuff. It was like, dude, how good was that at billiards? He goes, he was terrible.
Yeah. If that was the case, I'd be like, was it worth it, Appa?
So bad. Know? Like, you weren't even fucking good.
Yeah.
You were just there. It's so.
I think the third time for my sister was the same situation. He was just out.
That's so fucking.
My mom literally was like, yeah, because that was another thing. My sister was premature. Mm-hmm. My mom said she had to drive herself to the hospital because she was beeping my dad, and he just wouldn't pick up. He wouldn't call back. So she drove herself to the hospital.
Is it my part? Yeah. Came early. That's not my part.
Yeah. There's like a photo of me just born and my mom in the hospital bed and my dad's like smiling. My mom told me, he's like, he literally just walked in.
That's so fucking funny.
And he was like, where were you? Right? And the thing was, you know why? Because it's his birthday. I was born on his birthday.
Oh
and
my God.
He was out.
Celebrating his birthday.
Yeah.
That's so fucking...
Without his pregnant wife.
That's crazy.
His 9-month pregnant. So I was born on his birthday. And so I'm his birthday gift, right? So we share the same birthday. And that's when my dad was like, by the way, I have a twin. So it's like, he shares, all three of us share a birthday. And my mom's like, what the fuck are you talking about now? He never told her until then.
I thought your mom knew the whole time.
No, he told her when I was born because it was so relevant, like to talk about it. Hey, there's a third person.
Your dad is fascinating, man.
Just like so inconvenient.
It's like he took a Scantron test and he missed every answer. He got every single one wrong. And there's like a 0 probability of you not getting something right, but he somehow managed it.
Yeah.
It's like every single making of like an absentee father, while somehow miraculously still being there, is amazing. That's an amazing feat.
I mean, do you want to hear something else? He was a 20-year-old high school dropout.
That's what the fuck? He's basically staff at that point.
Because yeah, he was like 20 years old. He's the biggest dude there. He's just fucking people up. And he's like, why am I? So he just dropped out. He just stopped going to school.
I can't believe they let him stay till he was 20.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I found that out later because I was going to school and there was a dude in my PE class who was 20. He turned 20 in high school because he fucking flunked out like 3 times. He's just a fucking pyong.
I knew a guy who, I guess, well, he could have been 20 by the time he graduated, but he didn't. He ended up in jail.
Right.
But there was I remember him because he was in 8th grade with us. And at that point, he already flunked once, right? I think he flunked 7th grade. So we're in the same 8th grade geometry class. I wasn't very good at math, so I was in geometry. I didn't get to go to anything about that. 8th grade, I was geometry, and then he wanted to copy my homework. And here's a fucking thing, too. It's like, you know I'm not smart. You're just picking on me because I'm Asian. You know what I mean? Like, you probably know the answers more than I do. Yeah. But, you know, I was going to tell him that. Yeah. So he just kept on, he was like, give me your homework. And I'm like, no, I'm not giving you my fucking homework. And so I remember at that time, too, everybody was shocked because nobody stands up to that guy because he's, 36 years old. Yeah. But yeah, I didn't give a fuck. I had a short temper.
Yeah.
And I just wasn't having it. So like in the middle of the class, like he stood up, I stood up, and he didn't realize how big I was. Right. I was this size when I was like 13 years old. So I stood up and he was like, oh shit. Because he only grew up to be like 5'4" or 5'3".
Right.
So he wasn't that tall.
Right.
So I stood up.
He's just old.
And you could see like his eyes were like, oh fuck, this is a big kid.
Yeah.
And he was like, he wasn't going to back down, but he's basically telling me to do his homework. And I fucking shoved him in his chest and he fucking flew and all the desks flew apart, like split like the Red Sea, like it was biblical. And I remember like the look in his eyes. He was like, oh fuck. But I obviously got suspended, but it was just like, you're not fucking stealing my homework, bitch.
See, that was the thing. Like when I heard that about my dad, I was like, oh, I guess he's dumb, right? But then so I had a lot of insecurity growing up thinking I was dumb too. Well, because my parents kept calling me a retard.
Oh, he's dyslexic.
Yeah. And it's like, no, I'm just dyslexic with ADHD.
Yeah.
And those other factors.
Ways to figure it out.
Yeah. And then later on when I finally had that one-on-one with my dad to ask him, it was like he immigrated here at 16 and then they threw him in the 7th grade, right? So that's why he ended up like being 20 years old in high school, like, what the fuck? Like, fuck this. And he dropped out. And so it's like, oh, it's not because he was like stupid. But I could see that why he was always like on the edge and quick to call me stupid, because he was insecure about his intelligence because of what had happened to him in the school system. You know,
when you can't be smarter than me, dude.
Yeah, but he's not that dumb as far as like doing math and numbers, running a business, all of that. But when he's socially, he was so
really stupid.
Really stupid.
It's so crazy, dude. It's like now when I look at things like when I'm, now we had a kid, it's like up until this point I was like very cool about I was like very chill about the whole situation until he was born, right?
And then did something.
Something clicked. Like,
And you hear about that from I hear about that from everybody. What the fuck is that?
I don't know. Like so I've heard about it too before we had a kid, right? And I didn't get the click of like, I'm going to work hard and make more money. I'm not doing that. I refuse. I looked at the kid, and because in my mind I go, you're growing up with way more than I had already, so you're fine. Right. Shut up. And so I looked at this kid, and then this, it wasn't happy. It was happiness. It was sorrow. It was regret. Every emotion possible hit me all at once. And it was the thing that was making me cry actually at first. It wasn't because I was so happy looking at my kid. I cried because I thought of parents who lost their children. And so that made me cry.
Yeah.
It wasn't because they have all experienced this moment of seeing this kid, this child that the love of your life just pushed out of her body. And then you think the child's gone like that. And there's nothing you can do to get that back. So I started crying for other parents for 4 days.
Right.
I cried for 4 fucking days, dude.
Because it was decades of stories of somebody losing their child.
You know what I cried about? I cried for Francis Ngannou.
Right.
Because he lost his son.
Right.
And I was sitting there, and this is when she was at the maternity ward, and we, the baby's with us. I'm sitting there, and I start bawling. Mary's like, why? I was like, I'm thinking about this MMA fighter right now. She's like, who? I was like, Ngannou. She goes, what language is that?
Yeah, right.
I'm crying for him because he lost his son. And he said this thing. He goes, what is the point?
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I thought of.
Like, he made more money than he ever could have.
But you lost your son.
He lost his son. All the things that he was working for.
Yeah. What matters anymore?
Yeah.
My buddy, Andre Sukumtat, he's a UFC fighter. He lost his firstborn, and they still celebrate his birthday till this day. And he was super young, like maybe, I can't remember, maybe a couple of weeks or a few weeks old. But I think before having my own kid, I thought, well, the kid was only a couple weeks old.
I thought that.
Not in like an incredulous way, but it's like,
we just didn't
you're
know.
very fortunate. At least you didn't get to see him walk or anything else like that. But you don't cry because of the experiences you didn't have. You cry because of the experiences you didn't get to have. So it's so different.
Yeah.
It's like, I didn't get to see this kid's first steps, the I love yous. I didn't get to hear any of that stuff. And so they just think about it all the time. So I started thinking about my buddy Andre. I started crying for him. There was a certain point where I was so fed up of crying. I was like, I need to get this shit out my fucking system. So I went into the bathroom and I ugly cried for like 5 minutes. Like the ugliest cry, like the point where you cry and only air comes out.
Yeah.
Like that.
You just lose your voice.
Yeah, just like one of those things.
Your throat is sore.
Yeah, and I'm just sitting there just thinking, like, I don't think I've ever cried like this ever in my life. And once again, has nothing to do with my own child. Has everything to do with somebody else's kid and their experiences. And then I went to this point where when he was home, every time I looked at him, I kept crying. And Mariel was like, dude, get it together. Yeah, come on, man, get it together. So I started crying because there was a point where this kid will grow up, he'll never get to know my parents. Right? They won't be at his wedding. I started crying because of that. I started crying from like my past mistakes. Dude, it was just there was too many emotions at once.
You could imagine the things you said to your dad, your son saying to you.
Yup. I
like,
started thinking about, oh, dude, I had this moment where I cried because I started imagining what it was like for my parents to come into this country and then take care of us at the same time while working multiple jobs and somehow surviving, because I don't think I could do it.
Yeah.
So it's like, I started thinking about my parents, and then I remember I called them, I was talking to them, I'm like, man, you guys are really fucking annoying. And all those emotions went away, so I stopped crying about that.
Yeah.
And then I started like going into this point of just like, just being really grateful for things. Like when I look at my kid, like I was in a shitty ass mood before I came here earlier, just because there's a lot of shit that was going on. And then I held my little boy, and fucking it all went away. I was like, damn, dude. And Mariel, she's like looking at me. She goes, I thought you said you were in a bad mood. I was like, I am, but I held our son and I feel good. She goes, I don't do that for you. I was like, look how you're talking to me right now. Look at how you're talking to me.
Yeah.
And I just told you I had a bad day. I had a good moment with my son, and you go, I don't do that for you. Like, how'd you make this about you, fool? Let me have this moment with my son. And I looked at him, I was like,
what does he have that I don't?
Yeah. He doesn't talk.
Yeah.
I said that to her. Yeah. But there's definitely a special moment when you have a kid, when you're ready for it and you want the kid, right? Where it's like it's such a unique experience, and I would have never been able to. You can't recreate it. You can't describe it. There's also something that you can't describe either. There's a lady about 8 rooms down that was giving birth before Mariel was. Mariel had to get induced. She decided to give a birth, no epidural. So I heard a ghost scream for 5 hours straight before we give our first childbirth. Let me tell you something. Every actress out there that tries to imitate what it's like giving a child without an epidural, you're bad actors.
Right.
You don't do it justice.
Right.
This lady, for hours. And I just mortified, fucking mortified. Filipino nurse comes in. I'm like, excuse me, what is that noise?
Yeah.
She was like, oh, somebody is giving birth without an epidural. Filipino, of course. And
okay, so first explain epidural.
so
It's
an epidural is basically
painkiller?
a painkiller shot that goes into your back, your spine area, and it numbs out your legs, the lower extremities completely. You can't feel it for shit. You can semi kind of move it, but you don't feel nothing. So that's how people give birth now. But prior to that shit, you just had to have somebody rearrange your hip bones and tear your vagina and squirt out this human being. That is what childbirth is.
So what's the idea behind not taking the epidural?
So I asked around, and some people want to experience it. They want to feel every bit of their childbirth.
Natural.
I asked the nurse. I was like, how many people go through? She goes, most people don't. But there are a special few. She is one of them. So I asked her why. And she was like, people have interesting choices. That's all she said. That's all she said. No judgment.
Whoa.
But people have interesting choices.
Yeah.
This lady was screaming so fucking loud, and I'm just mortified, dude. Just couldn't. I still hear those screams till this day. It's insane.
Oh, it's just different.
Yeah, and so she finally stopped screaming because she gave birth around like 12.
All right.
So I fell asleep around like 12-ish. I was exhausted. Next thing you know, I feel a shoulder on my hand, and the nurse is looking at me. And I get up. I only slept for like 30 minutes. I get up and I go, baby's here. And she's like, no, sweetie. She goes, but she's ready to go. So Mariel's initial due date or time was at 10 p.m. that day. But the baby decided to come early, which is great. So we can get out of there earlier. Her whole delivery was like maybe a little less than 4 hours, which is unheard of.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the doctor was like, this is an A+ baby. So I kept hearing like how healthy the baby was, how perfectly round the baby's head is. So usually when you push a baby out, the baby's
They
head's
get
cone.
elongated. Yeah.
This kid's head, perfectly round. Amazing. My child is a superstar. So, you know, we're going through this whole process. I think like the hard part for me was like, was just trying to keep my shit together. What also happens to when you have a kid, I'm not sure if other dads felt this. I told you guys stories when I was younger. I was very violent. I had a really bad temper. Now, that temper is not towards my family, but it's anybody I look at as a threat.
All right.
I could give a shit less about somebody who I see as a threat. I don't give a fuck about your feelings. I don't give a fuck about your future, nothing else. You are not to come between me, my wife, and my child at all times, at any given time. I could kill you and I wouldn't care. Like, I started thinking of thoughts that I thought when I was in high school, right? Like that, because you're around bad people, you follow these people, right? And so I'm like, oh shit, I had a moment where I snapped out of it. I was like, oh shit, I felt like I was like 16 again. Literally doing stupid shit where you get so fucking angry, you would kill somebody.
Yeah.
And I'm like, uh-oh, that's not good. Yeah. So now I do something where even before this, I'm very good at cutting people off. I don't even care to cut people off and give them an explanation anymore. You don't deserve it, right? You're just a piece of shit. Right. So I just don't deal with it at all. They message me, block. Don't have to deal with it. Don't want to talk with it. They don't even know why. They're just like, I'm just out of their life. And they're just like, why? Oh, I'm going to have some of those conversations. Yeah. But one person that I talked to was that, so there are like certain parents who, when they talk about their kids, I'm not sure if because they didn't want a kid or they weren't prepared about how difficult the task of having a child is, they go immediately into negative shit. And I don't like that at all. Yeah. I hate it. So, I'm having this moment with my child. I love changing his diapers because it's my first kid. I love changing his diapers. I love the whole experience. Even when he cries, I fucking love it. And then there's always some kind of negative Nancy. They're just like, so I showed Mariel a text message of one person of giving an example of what this is. This person messages me and they're like, hey, congratulations on the kid. Dude, get ready for the worst 3 months of your life. That's what they message.
Thanks, asshole.
Exactly. So I messaged back and I'm like, oh, why do you say that? They're like, dude, there's no sleep. You're going to be exhausted and you're not going to know what's going on. You're probably going to fight with your wife a lot. I was like, no, me and my wife love each other and we're pretty good.
Yeah.
You know, it's been about a month and no fights. We're good to go. Baby's fine. He goes, well, how's the baby sleeping? Probably terrible, right? It's like, no, baby's sleeping great.
Right.
And then the text goes silent. They have nothing to say. Then 40 minutes later, they're like, well, look, if your wife needs somebody to talk to, this is a homegirl. It's like, your wife needs somebody to talk. She could talk to me. I've been through it all. I was like, I would never introduce you to my wife because you're a fucking bitch. So that's where I ended that.
Yeah.
And I was like, and I wrote to them. I was like, you're a fucking bitch. I was like, for the last hour, you have just been complaining about your life and your kid and how much they've ruined your fucking life. I love my life. The next time you speak to me, you change the way that you talk to me and you will never be my fucking wife.
Right.
So I haven't got a text message back yet. So it's been about a week. So I'm pretty sure they hate me. I don't give a fuck. You're so fucking annoying.
Right.
And so basically, and I had a conversation with another guy friend who's been doing this too. And this guy I like a lot. And I could give him shit. This person I don't know well enough. So I just told him to go fuck off. And I hope you're hearing this too. Nobody likes you. Just to let you know. Not just me. Everybody doesn't like you. Our little group that we had. First of all, we're not even that close. We met each other through drinking. Right. So we're drinking buddies. Nobody likes you. If you died tomorrow, maybe one person would cry. And the only person that's crying are the people that hated you because they're glad you're dead. So, fuck this person. But they're always like this.
But this is your example. You're just tired of
the shit.
Yeah.
Like you're gone.
Yeah.
Right? And I think before I could make jokes about it or whatever, but now that this kid's in my life, I just can't handle you anymore.
Yeah.
Right?
There's no space for
this person complains about fucking everything. And it's like, I cannot stand this woman just sitting there. And like, nobody forced you to have the kid. The kid wasn't asked to be here. You wanted the kid.
Yeah.
Right? And now you're saying this kid is terrible. Look, I empathize though. I understand it's very fucking hard. Right? I'm right there with you. But in my moment where I'm telling you like I'm very happy and you're like looking at me like I'm crazy, it's like, fuck you. Right?
Right.
How about you give me some support? But you're not trying to say congratulations to me. You're trying to find everything that's wrong so you want me to feel the way you feel, which is miserable. And I don't want to hear you talk shit about your kids anymore in front of me. I don't want to because I know her kids. They're fine. Yeah. Right? She just hates being a mother. So it's like,
damn.
And by the way, this isn't postpartum. Their fucking kids are like 7 and 8.
Right.
All right. So not postpartum. Postpartum's a completely different beast. So I got tired of that. One of my guy friends called me, did the same spiel. Dude, you're not going to be able to do it. And he goes, your life is over now. And I was like, dude, let's just call him John. Right? Because his name is John. So, but John's such a common name. Not the John here. not John Na. But it's a very common Korean name. So, I'm like, John. He goes like, your life is over. I was like, John, can I tell you something? You're probably the worst father I ever met in my life.
Damn.
Right? I'm fucking on one right now, dude.
Yeah, you just like.
And his wife starts laughing. Because his wife hears him complain all the time.
Right.
Right? He's just classic, like, negative Korean guy, right? I'm like, you're one of the worst dads ever. He's like, dude, what the fuck, Yeah. I was like, every time you open your mouth about your kids, it's always something bad. I've never heard you say anything your kid does good. Can you say something nice?
Right.
Right? Every time you open your mouth, you're fucking complaining about your kids. Your kids aren't even bad, dude. Like, what the fuck do you want? I was like, I just became a dad, and now I understand you're a piece of fucking shit. And then his wife is just like in the back, just laughing, just like, oh, he's like, well, at least I'm not the only one who's saying it,
Yeah.
And he's a little irritated, but he's laughing. And I was like, look, just being real, dude. It's like, yeah, do you hate your kid? Do you hate him? Like, well, what did he do besides be a fucking kid? Like, you can't keep doing this every time we meet up. Like, I'm sorry, like, you thought you're going to be I was like, let me just give you, I shouldn't even be saying this shit, but who cares? He's still my friend. His name is John. You're not going to know who the fuck he is anyways. So I'm talking to him. I was like, John, do you know what you're like? I was like, this is you. You keep saying, my kid prevented me from doing X, Y, and Z. John, you suck at everything.
Ooh.
When we used to play basketball, you sucked at basketball. You weren't going to the fucking NBA, okay? You keep talking about your kid as if they're preventing you from living this amazing fucking life, dude. I was like, before you met your wife, every girl you dated was fucking ugly. So I don't even understand how you even got her, right? So it's like, your life is so fucking good, you can't even see it. Your kid is healthy. You have a cute wife. You have a cute fucking kid. Right? But you keep talking about this past life that never existed. I know you. Right. It never existed. What are you talking about? Oh, man, I'd be up. Do you remember when we used to go drink all the time? John, you were a lightweight. You had one fucking shot and your pussy ass would go home every night. The fuck are you talking about? You pussy. What is he talking about? So he keeps reminiscing about stories that never fucking happened. It never existed. So what are you saying that your kid prevented you from? You're just using that as an excuse. You like staying at home, John.
It sounds like he doesn't like his kid.
Yeah. You like staying at home. You were a recluse just like me. You didn't like going out. What is this life you're talking about? Dude, we be in Vegas right now. You be in Vegas in the bar talking to yourself in a corner, asking us to fucking wingman for you because you couldn't talk to bitches. Right. So love the woman that you have, which he does, right? I just don't like that type of talk. Love the woman that you have right now who for some reason took charity upon you to marry you, which thank God your dad introduced you to her, dude. You fucking dweeb. He's a really good guy.
Yeah.
John is a really good guy. Super nice guy, right? He's a good friend to me. He's super smart, engineer, makes good fucking money. But he keeps talking. I just hate that thing. It's like
doesn't take a step back for a second, right? Yeah.
Right? Don't yuck my fucking yum, dude. I enjoy being a dad. I don't like that type of talk. I don't mind it when people make jokes, right? They talk about their personal and we could joke and talk about that's fine. But when you're sitting there looking at me like as if I'm going to suffer, it's like, no, don't put that on my kid. All right?
Right.
My kid makes me happy. Whatever he does, me not sleeping, it's perfectly fine. I don't care. I chose to have my child. I chose to bring him into this world. He is my responsibility. I understand that. I never thought it was going to be easy. And on top of that, just to give people other perspective, it's like, look, I also know how fortunate I am to have both my parents. I have aunts around. Dude, all my friends who donated their old kid clothes, all the stuff that their children use, I didn't have to spend that because they donated it to us. Right? All that type of stuff, I'm very, very blessed and fortunate. And don't think for 1 second that I don't fucking know that, right? The other reason why I cried, I started crying for single moms.
Right.
Dude, I couldn't stop crying for single moms.
And you're going to listen to Dear Mama.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
Dude, single moms, single fathers, I started thinking about them. That made me cry because I'm like, dude, how do you do this? Because we saved up enough to have a live-in nanny for about a month to teach us everything. We have other aunts that we're going to hire that could help us out 3 days out the week so I could podcast and do this. Some people don't even have those networks. So what do you fucking do at that point? So I started thinking like, holy shit, I don't want to hear any of these complaints, right? Like take a step back for a second and look at what you have, right? If you want me to sit there and just like, we can go back and complain about our lives right now. What are you talking about, dude?
Right.
I've never, as anybody who has watched this channel knows, I have never ever once in a single video ever complained about my life. Ever. Mm-hmm. Never. I have never complained about my life. My mom doesn't complain about her life, and she had it so fucking hard. We don't do that shit. Because I think it's because of the missionary trips that we went on. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Like all the stuff that we've seen around the world about how other people live, it's hard for me to say I hate my life.
I mean, you can't have a complaint without anything to compare it to, right? Mm-hmm. And maybe that's the problem with whatever you're scrolling through. Or
John, you went to Mexico.
Yeah.
You did the Mexico mission trips.
Right.
Yeah. It's like, what the hell, dude?
I mean, I was telling you before about how I don't have the best projector. You know, the contrast levels aren't great. And so when I realized that, I literally take a deep breath and practice gratitude. Like, I have this.
Some homeless guy listening to this, he's like, fuck this guy.
Most people watch movies through their phones. Like, I've got a projector. Like, so I'm thankful. Like, those are the things, like, because, yes, innately, like, I want the best of the best, top of the line electronics.
Yeah,
You hear that?
that's a Porsche.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I thought it was like, dude, something's coming
Earthquake?
down. Yeah. I lost my
Oh
train
yeah,
of
but it's
thought.
like being grateful and looking at the
Right.
things that you have. It sounds so corny, but I am very, very grateful. And sometimes I'm a little too grateful where I'm unmotivated.
Yeah.
Sometimes I need to have a little fear in my back. You know what I mean? It's like, dude, you're grateful, I understand, but work a little more.
Right, right.
I get that, But when I kind of like, I guess for me, it's just being very happy that my son is healthy.
Yeah.
And I can't get over that. So I'm just always thinking about that. I'm just always thinking he's alive, he's breathing, he has both his parents around. And I'm just like, dude, this is all that I fucking care about. And so like when I hear that conversation, it's like, you probably have done that with other people and they reciprocated that back for you, either out of sympathy or maybe both you guys just hate the situation that you're in because you feel like your kid holds you back from the life that you could have lived, which is nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, literally, you weren't
Yeah.
going to do anything fucking different, right? Like nothing changed. Now you just are responsible for another living being. Other than that, you were going to stay at home. You weren't going to do anything anyways.
Yeah.
Your life's not a movie, bro. It really fucking isn't. And I'll tell you this, like this child being in my life is the most exciting thing that's happened to me in a very long time.
Right.
Because it's like, it's so new. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, right? I can only like hope that I can do the best for this kid,
Yeah.
right? And I pray he's not gay. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I wanted to throw that joke in. I'm kidding.
It's a joke.
It's a joke. Come on. I can't make a gay joke.
Yeah.
Hey, a little gay joke. He's a 2025, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't care if he's fucking gay. Just trans. No.
Just try.
I'm kidding. Come on. I can't.
Come on.
Don't you know? I'm going to do a fucking video in front of the fires later today.
Yeah. Call back.
Jesus Christ, man. But yeah, being a dad has been really, really fucking cool. Like, I'm actually very glad we decided to have the kid a little later in our lives.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask about that, like the fact that going back to these people who feel like their kid took something away from them. How old were they when they had their kids?
Like 34, 33.
Oh, I mean,
It's not that far off.
yeah, that's a decent age.
Yeah, that's like 2 years younger than I am. 34, 34. Well, right now I'm 37 this year. But like, just if I had a kid earlier, I think I wouldn't have regret. I would have figured it out, right? But there's just a few things that I wanted to do before, right? But now that I have this kid, it's like I can still do those things. It's just the timeline's a little different.
And he'll have to do it with you.
Yeah.
Like,
And that's pretty cool. Like watching my kid experience new things, I bet you it's going to feel fucking awesome, right?
right.
Now the other thing that you think about as a parent is like, my mom warned me about this. She goes, your friendships will not change with people. And I was like, well, how? She goes, because some of your friends will also have kids and they're fine just with you two, but you see how they raise their kids and it's going to make you question whether you want your kid around them.
Right.
I'm not at that stage yet, but
Right.
I'm like having that in the back of my mind. It's like, oh shit. And she goes, those are uncomfortable conversations that you're going to have with your friends. It's like, hey, because they're not going to want to hear that their kid is fucking nuts or crazy or a fuck up. Right.
Right.
So they're not gonna be like, hey, by the way, your kid told my kid to eat matches. And can you not tell them to do that? And they'll be like, well, how you know it's my kid's idea? And you're gonna have to deal with that stuff. I was like, that's great. I have no problem knocking people out.
Right.
So I'm not trying to protect my kid from that type of stuff, right? He's gonna have to be around people that will influence him in a bad way. But if it's within my control and I can prevent that, I'm gonna do it. So I definitely know that my parenting style already is very different from other people's, right? And even my friends already know. They're like, you're going to be a lot stricter than us. I was like, I'm not going to be strict. I'm just going to be normal. You motherfuckers aren't strict at all.
Right.
Like, your kids just do whatever the fuck they want, which is fine. So we just have very different outlooks, right? Like, I had a conversation with my other friend. He's very well off. I was like, oh, what are your goals for your kids? Like, do you have any goals for them, or what do you want? So they don't have to work a day in their life if they don't want. Like, I'm wealthy, so it's like, you and I are very different. Like, I don't have that. I don't care how much money I make or have. You're gonna work,
Right.
because it teaches you how other people live. It gives you perspective. It humbles you. Because if they get everything, you end up with a fucking Jaden Smith. I'm not having a Jaden Smith.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm not having Justin Bieber clap my cheeks and kiss me on the neck. Like that's definitely not happening. You know? Like we're not doing that. So I want my kid to have a normal life, but know that he has a blessing if his father's very wealthy that other people don't have, and I want to be very grateful of that type of shit. I want him to earn things because you don't care about things if you didn't work for it. There's no value in it. It's so hard to say. It's like that fucking rich, ugly Indian guy that's super rich. What's his name? The one that had the fucking wedding where he invited John Cena, everybody. He's like the richest prince.
I have no clue.
Yeah. Well, fucking that ugly rich fuck.
Right.
He just buys like Bugattis, whatever rich watch just because he can, because it's there and exists. Right. And it's always been an option for him. Like there's no value in that type of shit.
Yeah.
And it's not me just saying that because I'm poor. I'm saying that for real. It's like whenever I got stuff that I thought that I wanted because of the value and I bought it, after a day or two, it just stopped feeling good. Right. So now I start to invest in things that I enjoy for the hobbies that I like. I buy film because I love the way film captures things. Right. So it makes me feel good. They're not great photos, but they're just photos that you put in your album. I enjoy that stuff. So I'll put money into that type of stuff. I'll put a little extra money into cameras. Not so much anymore. I have enough now.
How many photos have you taken so far?
Shit. I mean, I haven't developed all of them yet, but you know.
Oh, you're just straight up film.
Oh, film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like through your phone too?
Oh, on my phone, I take a picture of this kid every day.
Yeah.
I have to.
Are you going to do the time lapse? I mean, how much do you have planned? Like
nothing
that
planned.
kind of stuff. Like, okay, what about like this day and age, his electronics usage? You think about that stuff?
Yes. So the kid, only because I've been researching this for a long time, not even just for children, just for adults, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I have to go find these sources. It's been a long time, but if you guys can find the sources for the things I'm talking about, please go ahead. There was somebody who was an expert on this on the Joe Rogan podcast, and he was talking about he's been studying this for a long time, like the effects of media. Since I'm talking about like Nintendo days, like early days.
Yeah.
That's how long he's been studying this. And he said the biggest fallacy that people have is adults go, I had games and I had TV, so I turned out fine. And he goes, what you grew up with what is available now, it's literally like Stone Age to now. That's how different it is.
Yeah.
Because you're looking at time and advancement like how we did before. But if you look at advancement in technology, if you look at the whole scope of man, it went slow to light speed. Boom, 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 boom. Exponential. It was this to now it's just like this graph that goes straight up vertically.
It was like, look at Pong. That's a novelty.
Yep.
Now you put on a VR headset and you are in a different world.
Yeah. And even then, look at this. Look at ChatGPT when it first came out till now. ChatGPT scares me so much because of how much better it's gotten within the first time I've used it.
Yeah.
Right? I was talking to ChatGPT. I was like, hey, what about X, Y, and Z? They're like, well, this is the information, blah, 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 blah. So why are you looking this up? Are you curious about this? I was like, excuse me? Is this a conversation? Right. So in the car, I started talking to ChatGPT like a person.
Right.
So we were having a conversation back and forth for an hour in traffic.
From the phone. Right.
So, for example, like before I came here on the podcast, it was we did a Diddy podcast. Right. I was talking to ChatGPT about the court case.
So you're asking all the questions.
Yeah. I was like, what happened with Diddy in the court? Blah, 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 blah. I was like, okay, so what exactly happened with Cassie? And they're like, well, with Cassie. And then I memorize it better because it's a conversation.
Right.
Over and over and over again. This is how I've been learning about the Bible all over again, too.
See, that's how I was wondering how to talk to, ChatGPT. How do I ask it questions?
Person.
Right.
It's not like any other experience that you have. It's like a fucking...
So you have the app. Do you have the paid app?
No, just the basic one's good too. The paid one, you have a limited amount of usage per day.
Isn't this Siri now powered by OpenAI, by ChatGPT?
I don't think not yet. I think it's on the way there. Because right now Siri is garbage.
I think you should be listening.
Well, be better at your shit, dude. Yeah. ChatGPT is whooping your ass. So ChatGPT, like we've been having conversations. I've been practicing my Korean that way too.
Right.
So I go, ChatGPT, I was like, hey, can you speak to me only in Korean? And they go, 네, 알겠습니다.
Right. So you want your son to be bilingual?
Yes.
Trilingual?
Has to be bilingual no matter what.
Yeah. What I think about a lot too these days is like if you're in Southern California, I think Spanish is super important. Like even I want to keep up on my Spanish now.
Yeah, Spanish is important. I want him to be even more fluent in Korean than I am.
Yeah.
So that's going to be very, very important. Culturally wise is important for me because I think culture is dying now.
Yeah.
It's been progressively going that way, and the thing that makes the world exciting is different cultures. Like that's what I like.
And
traveling to.
preserving
Yeah.
their culture. And so we'll talk about it about Sopranos, about how they are representing their culture. Like
100%.
Yeah.
But anyways, guys, that wraps up this. John, how long did this one go?
We're at like 39 minutes.
39 minutes? Okay, that's about 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Well, guys, that ends this podcast. Thank you guys for listening. We're doing 40-minute podcast now. I'm a father. Just be happy that I'm still doing podcasts. I still enjoy doing it as long as it's with Ed.
Lucky to be here.
Yeah. So thank you guys for listening for another year. I appreciate you very much. I'll kiss you guys in the mouth if I see you in person, pending if you don't have COVID. You could catch Ed at Ed Park VP, also Manga Miata, Genius Brain, every Sundays at 12 p.m. Make sure that you cop some Secret Society gear. I am a papa now. We're going to review Sopranos in a short instance. We're probably going to do multiple podcasts on The Sopranos, to be honest with you.
We'll probably always just
reference it.
Yeah.
Yep. We'll see you guys next time. Genius Brain every Sunday at 12 p.m. John, you suck. Goodbye.